All right, guys, welcome to our weekly live streams. I appreciate everyone who joins us tonight. And as always, we're having a lot of fun learning the necessary skills needed for a successful career in cybersecurity. And I'm so happy to have you guys tonight so that we can get this started. So right now, let me just check to make sure that I have people online. Thank you for being here, and as always, I do these live streams every Sunday. So if you are interested in Sundays at 9 p.m., I'll be live streaming. So if you are just brand new, please also remember to like and subscribe. Last time I checked, they said it helps with the YouTube algorithm if more people subscribe and like my videos. And also it helps me to know that you guys appreciate this content. So as the title says, today we're going to be attacking Troll from Vulnhub, but we're going to put a spin to that. In addition to attacking that machine, we are also going to make sure that we collect the logs from that machine and then also detect from that machine. So this is some super fun stuff that I'm very excited to show you guys. And if you are not familiar with me, I enjoy both attacking and defending, and I believe that I become a better defender if I know how to attack. So this is what we're going to do here. Our lab setup looks like this. We have Kali Linux. This is all in VMware Fusion. You can set this up in VirtualBox. You just need enough resources here. Then I like to use pfSense as a router here because I also like to look at firewall logs that get generated separately. And then I have a security onion. A lot of people have been asking me to have security onion, and here it is. My security onion has two interfaces, one network that goes to the outside world and another one that is connected to this lab here, network adapter 2. And I have a video on my channel that shows you how to set this up in detail. So if you're not familiar with that, I can assist you with that soon after we're done today. All right, let's see. So thank you guys for joining. I appreciate each person who is here. So I don't like to waste a lot of time. Let's get started by attacking. So I'm going to connect to my Kali Linux. And again, if you want to set this up, I have a video that shows you how to do this. Hello, Matthew and Juan. It's good to see you guys. BT. It's always good to see familiar names in the chat. And if you're brand new here, please let me know in the comments as well. If this is your first time joining us, and if you have any questions, stick around. As soon as we are done with this, I'll be able to help you answer any of the questions that you have. All right, so again, just a quick recap. Here's our Kali Linux. Everything is in VMware Fusion. My iMac actually has 32 gigs of RAM, so I can afford to do this locally. If your machine is less than that, maybe 16, you might not be able to. I have a pfSense firewall. And my security onion, I actually gave it 16 gigs, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I gave it 16 gigs of RAM, just to make sure that it works in 4 CPUs. So this makes sure that it runs properly. And we're going to be attacking a machine called Troll from Vulnhub. So it's a capture the flag machine. It's free from Vulnhub, so you can just download it. And this lab is all isolated from my home network and all that stuff. All right, so let's go to our security onion here. It has been a while since I made a security onion video, so if you're not familiar with security onion, it's a wonderful all-in-one intrusion detection system that you can download and set up in less than 20 minutes really. And then you can send a bunch of traffic to it, and it will be able to show you whether there are any attacks or not. So as soon as we're done with our quick attack, we'll come in here and see what was detected. How did it detect it? And that's going to be very, very important for us, because as security people, we need to know, does this thing really work or not? So there we go. All right, now let's start our attack. All right, as always, I like to make sure that my target machines are actually online, and in this case, I know that my machine is online and it's on 192.168.38.11. I know this from my pfSense DHCP. So my machine is responding. So as always, I like to start with nmap. So if you haven't seen my workflow, that's what I do. I start with nmap. Once in a while, I do this for all ports, but in this case, I'm going to go for the top 1000 ports minus SV minus SC. So I'm going to use default scripts and also scan for service versions. So 192.168.38.11. That's our machine. I'm not going to save anything here. I'm just going to display the results. Usually I output to a file, but I'm not going to do that here. So while our results are going, hello Thunderstorm. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you, everybody who's here. Thanks for joining, guys. All right, so now as you can see, our target is up for business. We can attack this machine. We already ran nmap. We expect our security onion intrusion detection system to pick this scan right here. If somebody's running a port scan in a network, any respectable intrusion detection system should pick it up, and security onion should. So we will look at security onion to see if it has nmap specific results that shows that there was a port scan or not. All right, so we have port 21 FTP. So usually when FTP is involved, you know that it's always fun. And in this case, we have anonymous login allowed. So that's one easy way of getting in here. So, but let's just look here. We have 22 SSH 6. So that's newer. Let's see if we'll be able to work with that as well. And we have port 80. So we have all the recipe for success here. So let's open Firefox. And let me know, guys, how you can hear me. I changed my workflow a little bit in my setup for my system. Let me know if the audio is good. All right. So while this is loading, let's start our Dare Buster here. So what I like to do when I see port 80 is open, I run derb. Awesome, thank you. 192.168.38.11. Let's bust some directories while we're still there. If you're not familiar with derb, it's just going to port 80 and it's trying to brute force some directories. Once in a while, I'll also use my GoBuster. So let's go here. This is my cheat sheet. So once you come up with a workflow, this is where I go for my cheat sheet. And this is the command for GoBuster that I run. In this case, I'm not going to run GoBuster, but usually I just copy this and change the parameters in here. All right, so we are going. This should also be picked by our intrusion detection system. We found some interesting files here. We found this. So let's copy that. Awesome. So let's go and see. We have a secrets file on our system. All right. We're getting trolled. Remember, the name of this machine is Troll. This is definitely a trolling mechanism from the creators of the box. No, I'm not mad yet. Usually when I see images on a machine, I would save them locally on my Kali so that I can maybe run stag hide just in case there is a hidden message in there. But this is troll, so this machine is just trolling us. Let's look at what is actually on port 80. Okay, another image trolling us. Fun stuff. All right, so let's go back here and here. All right, so port 80 really, we're just getting trolled there. So let's go back to port 21. I should have started up here. And it says anonymous login is allowed. So let's open a new tab. and let's do an FTP to our site 8.38.11, and anonymous login is allowed. Anonymous. All right, we're in. I got this machine from Vulnhub. I downloaded it. It's called Troll 1. Yeah, it's free on Vulnhub, so you can go and download it and try it. It does troll a little bit, and you see the amount of trolling that happens with this machine. So since I'm in here, I can now see that I have a pcap called OOL.pcap. That's interesting. So we're in an FTP location on our victim machine. We see a pcap. So let's get it. So in an FTP server, we can just type the get command, and you to download the file to your machine. In this case, it's going to download it to my Kali Linux in the location to where I ran FTP from. So in this case, it's going to run it from this location here. So let's exit and look at that pcap. All right. So there are two ways that we can look at pcap, right? I mean, maybe more, but we can use our trusted friend Wireshark, and we can also use we can just read it from the command line. So which way? I like both. Let's do both, or maybe let's start with Wireshark first. If you haven't played with Wireshark, it's a wonderful tool. It's really good for network administrators and security people. Likewise, it's a graphical user interface. It's easy to see what's going on, and as you can see here, I'd already opened it, but this is how you access it. You go to File, Open, and now I'm in my root directory, and here's my pcap, and Open. Then it gets me the pcap. And we need to be able to read this pcap. And if you're not familiar with reading pcaps, you're going to realize quickly that it's a skill that you need to really be good as a security analyst or in most security jobs. So the way we read this is we are now trying to understand what is going on here. We know that this is FTP. FTP usually does not encrypt the traffic. So if someone downloaded a file, we'll be able to see what they downloaded if they uploaded. So this is a pcap that is showing me a bunch of FTP traffic. And in this case, someone used user anonymous and password. All right. So we need to find out, is there anything of interest here that we can read, including files? All right. Let's see. Here's a port, and I see something about secret_stuff.txt. That is interesting. Can be any revealing. Let's follow that TCP stream. This is just the easiest way. I don't know if you can read this, but it says, well, aren't you just a clever little devil? You almost found the super secret dir. Okay. You sucks. Okay. We're getting trolled again, but that's okay. We almost found the super secret directory. So the first time I saw this message, it didn't make a lot of sense. But obviously, since I'm demonstrating it to you guys, I finally figured out after a while that super secret directory is actually the name of a directory. So that was clever on the creators' part. I give them a lot of credit, because I ran GoBuster. I thought Derb didn't get anything. I ran GoBuster to see if there's any other directories. So let's go and paste that. That is the name. All right, so now here is the super secret dir. You know what I wish I had done? I wish I had put the OSSEC host-based detection engine here, so I can also log. Maybe next time I'll remember to monitor the log. Usually you want to monitor the network, and you also want to monitor the host. I'm not monitoring this machine today. I wish I'd put the agent there. So in here, I see that there's a parent directory, and there's ROF, that stuff. And what is this? We can download it, so we can say save file. So now this file is in our downloads folder. Oh, by the way, this is Kali Linux. When I'm moving, like it looks like Windows, but it's Kali Linux undercover mode. Depending on who we're talking to, people either like this or they don't. So here's the file that we downloaded. Let's go to the terminal and find out what kind of file is that. And to find out what kind of file that is, we just run file against the file name and it will tell us what it is. So let's go to our downloads. All right, now here's the name of the file. So we can just say file, what is that? This is how you ask the file for its name or its information. So it says it's an executable. In this case, we are doing a capture the flag, so we can execute this file. So chmod plus x and the file name. Let's make it executable for us. Then let's run it. All right. So we ran the file and it says find address that to proceed. Remember the name of the machine? Ridiculously saying it's troll. Now we're getting trolled again. Here's another hint. We need to find the name of the machine or the address. Here I got, this was the longest rabbit hole for me. I thought this was an address somewhere that I needed to find, so I went a whole different direction. Well, it turns out I was overthinking things. The person who made this machine went for the OSCP, and I think they also felt like it was trolling them. So that's why they created this. And the idea is to not overthink things. It says find this address. Well, here is the address. If you put it in an address bar, and there we go. So now we have a good luck, and this folder contains the password. I mean, we are in luck here. Any hacker will be happy to know that there is a password in this folder. So let's open, and here is pass.txt. Interesting, and good job. So it's good job the password. And what is this password for? We haven't seen any login page except for SSH that is open. The port 80 doesn't have any login page. So I guess this is part of the enumeration. We need to be able to really dig in and find out as much information as we can and put things together. All right, so here's another folder in there. Which one? Okay. And these look like usernames. So now let's put things together. We have a username. We have a list of usernames, and we have a folder that contains a password. So now we go back to the beginning. We didn't need to sign into FTP. So this is our logical step. We need to go to port 22. I'll tell you that I do not like to brute force port 22. That is my last resort, especially when you're doing hack the box. Brute forcing port 22 is rarely a thing. But in this case, that's one thing that is open. So let's go ahead and brute force it. And again, as we brute force port 22, is our intrusion detection engine going to really pick this brute force? Because if someone is brute forcing a port and you have an intrusion detection engine, in this case in Security Onion, which uses Bro or Zik, that should pick it up. If it doesn't, that is a huge disappointing thing. If you cannot detect SSH brute force, what else would you detect? All right, so I think it's safe to clear this screen. Let's password.txt. Let's make that file here. And in this case, if you go to our machine, it said there was a password here. Here's the logical thing, right? You copy this and you come back and you put it in here because it says that's the password. Insert. Here is something that is not logical that you might not do. But in this case, we're getting trolled. Let's put the name of this file. because it said this folder contains the password. I learned this the hard way. I brute force, I didn't find anything, but let's put that. There we go. Then we need to make a user names dot text, and let's go back here and grab the usernames. Good luck. Which one? So if you joined us, we already started attacking a machine from Vulnhub called Troll, and we're just in the process of, we're about to brute force SSH, and we are hoping that our security onion is going to catch us in the act of trying to brute force for some password. Here for brute forcing, our go-to brute force tool as always is Hydra, or at least for me. Let me see if I have it in my cheat sheet here. So you don't need to memorize these things, right? I do not have Hydra in here, but let me use SSH. Let me save you some time. I will not run Hydra in this case. If you run Hydra against this machine, Hydra is not going to find anything. But here's something cool. For you who joined, we can use nmap to brute force SSH. And there's a script for that. As you can see here, you can use an nmap script. If you haven't done this, a lot of people actually don't use nmap because it's super slow. But when the creator of this machine, Troll, created this machine, I think they wanted us to know that just because you used Hydra and Hydra did not find anything, doesn't mean that you just say SSH cannot be brute forced. You need to try multiple things. And in this case, Hydra failed for me, found 0. However, I went back, I was like, wait a second, can I use other things? I found another tool called Patador that you can use. And I also find that nmap script, in this case, SSH brute, can work. So let's go and run that. And in this case, I'll explain what this is. So we're saying nmap against our target on port 22, and we want a script. This is a default nmap script, SSH brute, and the arguments are username db is usernames.text, and password is equals to passwords.text, which we just created up here. So now we're just saying, hey nmap, go and find this, and if I run this, this might time out. Oh no, it's working. All right, as you can see, nmap is going and it's doing its thing. We are brute forcing with nmap. So if you haven't put nmap in your cheat sheet, please add it. It's fun. All right, so let's give it a minute here. I'm just curious. For those who are here, it looks like we have 28 people. This is the most people that we have had in our live stream. So thank you for being here. We are in the process of brute forcing. I'm curious, can we go, if we go to Kibana in Security Onion, is it going to show us that we tried all these names? I wonder. Was with Elastic SIM on the cloud last week in our live stream, I showed you when we were brute forcing, it showed us the names that we were brute forcing with. And in this case, I'm curious if Security Onion is as good as Elastic SIM. Yes, I would say this is part of my OSCP journey. And in fact, I'm just used to cracking machines every week. Every week I try to sharpen my skills. All right, we did this live right now. So as you can see, we were able to run. I was worried that this was going to text my machine and affect. So we found overflow, and the password, remember, is pass.text. I didn't find this the first time. Then it forced me to think, because we found this message that says this folder contains the password. So this is sort of forcing us to think out of the box. Will you find this in the real world? Maybe not, but being able to be sharp and think fast is going to be a good thing. So we found the password here, overflow and pass.text. Let's go ahead and sign in. We're signing in as overflow at 192.168.1.1. 38.11. So today I'm not monitoring this machine. Usually I monitor the machine that I'm attacking as well, but today I'm just relying on the network traffic that I'm monitoring to make sure that at least it shows me what I'm doing. Pass.text, and we're in. What I like to do when I get in here is where did I land? Okay, ID, I'm already overflow, as you already know. ls minus la. I'm looking here for bash history, anything that might be interesting, any scripts that are just left for me. You know, this is just manual poking, and usually I will then at the end of during this time go and check if I have any cron jobs that I can see, or my favorite one, sudo minus l. What can I run as sudo? And I've been lucky so many times. In this case, I'm unlucky. But usually you get a list here of things that you can do. Last week during our live stream, we could change the system time as sudo. And sorry, user overflow may not run sudo on troll. So yeah, we can't. So usually, if we have a host-based intrusion detection system, this will be logged. Someone tried to run commands as sudo, and this will be logged in. Depending on how many you want, you'll be able to see. So to save us some time, because we can't wait to look at security onion Kibana interface, we do a uname minus l, usually minus a, not minus l. Usually right here, this will be like the last one. You can find this information by running, say, enum for Linux or enum. I always get them confused. Enum for Linux, you can bring it in here and run and see if there's any other places where you have more permissions and stuff like that. So when you get here we're about to escalate our privileges, there is more work to be done than what you're going to see here. This is just an easy machine, the level here. So we have this version of Linux. What you can do is, let's use our trusted friend Google. So this is where you get security onion if you're not familiar. So I just installed that version today. So I'm running the latest one. Let's do this. Let's find out. Usually you type the word exploit after, but you see we have exploit DB here. It's already complaining about things. What we're looking at here is a kernel exploit. Can we escalate our privileges here? Let's look at this one. All right. So it looks like we do have this one. Let's go back again and see if we have another one. My web browser is a little slow. I think it's because I'm live streaming and doing. So what we need is a privilege escalation. Let's look at this. All right. So we're going to go with this one. I think that's the one. Let me see what the name looks like when I download it. 33824. All right, let's go back to our Kali. And if I do an ls here, I think it was when I downloaded it earlier. I don't want to, you know what? I think it's this one, 3792, that I downloaded. I'm trying to see because I don't want to waste time here. But we know that there's a kernel exploit for this. So let's go ahead and get that kernel exploit to our machine. And here, if you are brand new to hacking, this might be something interesting for you. A lot of people have their favorites. You can move files from our Kali Linux to the victim machine using multiple ways. One of them, the simplest one, is an HTTP server. And there's two options. Some people like to run the Apache server that comes with Kali. And some people like to run Python simple HTTP server. What I've heard though is that in most cases, especially for the OSCP, sometimes one might not work, so you want to try one or the other. So in this case, let's start with our Python simple HTTP server here. And what I'm doing right now is I'm hosting a server, and it's going to serve this whole directory. But I want to be able to get this file 3792 to my victim machine. So when I start hosting here, I'll be able to go to my victim machine and run wget. Okay, look at this. I'm getting trolled again. Time is up. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I need to be quick here. I need to speak less because this machine times up at random times. Okay, so if you want to move files, you always go to the temp because you usually have permission to write there. So we can say wget http 192.168.38.10. 10 is my Kali Linux machine, and then it's 37292. That's our exploit. And as you can see, this one is not compiled. So if I do an ls, here's my exploit. So I can just run gcc to compile it. 37292.c, and I need to output it to -o. Is it lowercase? I think. Then I want to name it exploit. Let's see if this works before it times out. All right, let's run the exploit quick. All right, look at this, guys. ID, what are we? We are root. So that was quick privilege escalation. And then if we do an ls here, let's cd/root. Let's see if we can get our flag here. ls cat proof.txt. All right, we did it. We got trolled, but we did it. So this is super fun, as you can see. So now we were able to hack our machine, if you want to call it hacking, and then we got trolled a little bit. But during this time, we were making a lot of noise, guys. We were not careful about hiding from the defenders. We were just going at it. We didn't care about getting detected. So here's the moment of truth. After doing all this work, what happened to Security Onion? Well, Security Onion is sitting here listening to all these conversations. So let's go there. All right, so if you are watching us for the first time, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I do this every week. And also I post a lot of videos doing stuff like this, and it's super fun. So let's start from the beginning. If you haven't set up Security Onion, let's close this, everything. Then let's launch Kibana. And then I'll explain what each component does. And Kibana is our web interface where we can see the logs. This runs from the Elastic. If you're familiar with my channel, I'm a big fan of the Elastic project. And this is running Elastic, the Elk stack, and Kibana allows us to visualize our logs. And in this case, these logs are sent using Logstash. And I have videos where I show people how to set up Logstash. So Kibana is an interface that shows us that. Let's go to another tool. Squirrel. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's what I'm going to call it today. This is a dated interface, but man, is it awesome. This shows us the logs in real time. So let's start with Squirrel, then we'll go to Kibana, then we'll go to this Squared interface and look at all these logs in the order. So this is my user that I created, and we are in. Let's say, or because it doesn't matter right now. Don't underestimate that this looks ugly. This is so powerful. I'm a big fan. All right, so first of all, here is all what we were doing. Here's the noise that we were generating because we were loud as hell. I'm more interested in the numbers, right? We have 50 events here, and we have scripting engine, user agent detected. This is great. Kudos to Security Onion. It detected nmap. So what does this say for us? As attackers, if you're going for an engagement, you're doing a pen test, maybe you want to be careful with your nmap options that you put out there. Maybe you want to put different options instead of just the normal aggressive scans that we did, the OS detection that we were doing and all that stuff. So maybe we shouldn't do that. And here's another one that is a lot. Potential SSH outbound. We know what this is. There's 78 events here for SSH. This is double, right? Nmap did some scans and that was logged as part of the SSH. And then we brute forced and we generated 70 events. So now we're curious, what the hell are these? What do they look like? Can this thing tell us? Let's try to read this in detail, right? Source IP address 192.168.38.10, that's the IP address of Kali. So we know. Destination 192.168.38.11, that's our victim machine. So now we know that we were really getting caught as we were doing our attack. This one here that is going there is just an update that I ran. Otherwise, everything is here. So this tells us, especially the numbers here. That's why I'm more interested in 78 events, what was happening. Right, so now let's go to Kibana. Let's look at the same events, but in a more interesting, in this case, we'll want to look at network intrusion detection. Host-based uses OSSEC. This time I'm not running any OSSEC. Look at this, guys. This is awesome. All right, this is really awesome. So we have categories here. Scan, again, nmap. So nmap is not a really good tool. If you get on someone's network, maybe you want to try other ways other than nmap, because as you can see, this is out of the box. I didn't adjust any Zeek rules here. This is out of the box. Zeek says, and it's classifying the traffic here. So here's scan, that's the majority of it. And here's our timeline, and we see what's going on here. So we can scroll down and we can see the alerts that were triggered. We can even see the rules that generated this. It says potential SSH scan outbound, source IP address, destination, and the count. Remember, we saw 78 in Squirrel. Here they are, and here are the numbers. So why would we want to know these things? As security professionals, we are interested in, at least for me, I'm more interested in understanding what does it look like when someone is on my network. How can I read it? How can I detect it? And here it is right in front of you. So when it says potential SSH outbound, here are the stuff. We can even filter by IP address here. So if I had multiple hosts and there's too much noise here, I can filter, but in this case, I just have one. So I should be able to just leave it like that. All right, we'll come back here if we have time, but I just wanted to show you that just a quick overview. You can even look at the connections if you just wanted to know who is talking to who, but in this case, we know who is talking to who. Let's just pivot a little bit to this interface called Squared. This is what security analysts might end up looking at, and this is more usable. In Squirrel, I didn't even show you that you can classify events, you can escalate to other people and all that stuff. That's for a different video, but this is just a quick way of seeing it. So as you can see here, we have, again, 78 events, potential SSH outbound scan. So now we can dig deep in here. This looks better. And oh, look at this. Frequency SSH connection likely brute force attack. It only caught 5. Why? Let's look at that. Okay, so here we can, if we had a public IP address, we can go to Virus Total to see if this public IP address has been flagged by other people as potentially bad. We can pivot to Kibana. So remember, we clicked from Kibana to here. We can even go to Kibana, which I will do in a little bit here. But we also have this one, the brute force here. But let's see. I want to see more information here. Let's close that. Here's the source IP address. Here's the destination. And if I had public IP addresses, there will be the information here. And if somebody had done any activity, we'll be able to see on this particular event. So let's go to Kibana and then dig in. I want us to look at, I want us to identify the rule that triggered these things, because I'm interested in that. But as you can see, guys, this is awesome. I'm like amazed by how this works. All right, so here are the events listed by one at a time. So let's click on this event ID, and no need for any packet capture in this case. I have the event, the raw event, guys. I mean, isn't this amazing? We have the raw event here. We can take a look at it and try to understand what was happening here. And in this case, we can tell that yes, somebody was actually doing SSH. So if this event involved any say files, if this was a web event, a wget, you'll be able to tell which website they went to, what file they downloaded. And in this case, I also have a pcap file that we can use. We can save this file. If you're going to escalate this to somebody, now we can say, hey, as a security analyst, hey, this is what I did. I really indeed looked at the event. It generated 78, so this is really suspicious. And here's the offending host. I did my due diligence. Here's the pcap. Then, if you are not the one responsible for blocking this host, then you forward this to somebody else, because we can tell that this person is really doing some nasty stuff. So this is the actual event. Get used to seeing these things, because as a security professional, you'll be looking at this stuff, especially if you're on the analysis side a lot, and being very quick at looking at this and identifying information that is critical and ignoring the rest is going to be very, very interesting. And this view that you're seeing here is identical to what you see when you follow a TCP stream. I mean, in a way, like you saw last time, you'll be able to see the same information when you read this from pcap. All right, so we have this event and all that stuff. Let's see. All right, let me look at the comments here. Okay, nothing of this nature. So we have a pcap, we have a bunch of events. In future videos, after we are done setting up our main lab, I'll dig deep into Security Onion in a new course that I'll be creating for going for the CCNA cyber operations. That's where I learned a lot about Security Onion and Wireshark. And I think it's the skills that you get from the CCNA cyber operations are really, really great. And I use them a lot right now. So here's another view that we can have. Very quick, the top destinations, top host. Usually this gets populated with actual IP addresses, so you can tell where your traffic is going. But this is a quick overview of where you can see the count of what countries are we working with here, which host. In this case, the machine that we were attacking accounts for 90% of the traffic. So we do know that this machine is really under attack. So this is just part of the analysis, looking at the data. We can see which machine is really under attack. And then we can also see what was being done to the machine. So we, at some point, try to access that. And those are the signatures that we have. All right, so let's go back to the events, and then I want to pivot back to Kibana, if I now remember how to do that from here. All right, I think if I click on, not that one, if I click on here, let's look at the likely brute force attack. So let's go to Kibana. As you can see, I'm pivoting. That's what pivoting is. Going from one system to another and making sure that it's actually good. So let's look one more time in Kibana. Then we can answer any questions that people have. But I encourage you to spend some time and have some fun with this stuff. All right, so in Kibana, we came here with an indicator ID. That's what we're using here. And it should have the information all the way down here. So here is the events that trigger that potential SSH, source and destination, as we already know. And these are individual events. Now we want to find out more information here. And this view is my favorite from Kibana because it tells me more information. The alert that was fired, the category for the alert, attempted administrator privilege gain, that's the classification that we have here. So this is some serious stuff. Source and the event type, this was caught by Snort. So that's really good to know. We caught this from Snort, and the host that we have here is gateway, and this is from our system, an IPS. And here's a message. Like this is really awesome. And here is what I really wanted you to see. If you wanted to see more about what is really happening, here is a link to how this rule was created. So it's very important for you to spend some time here and go and read this documentation here, because it gives you a link to how they created it, what triggered it. So then you get a good idea of how do people create these rules and how do things go. So that's where I want to end today, but I hope you can spend some time here and have a lot of fun with our system here. All right, so now let's see. Next time you see Security Onion, I'll try to show you the host-based part of that with OSEC, because I think it's also it's awesome. And here's other things that I didn't show you, like the classification for the port. You do not want port 22 to be the main one that's being attacked. All right, guys. That was a nice little demonstration that we had going on today. Let me see what's going on here. Thank you, everybody, for helping each other in the chat. I can hear the chat going, and it's awesome that people are taking time to answer each other's questions. This allows me to make sure that I can finish the demos. So if you joined late, we were able to attack our machine called Troll from Vulnhub. It's a super simple machine that just trolls you a little bit to frustrate you. Then after attacking the machine, we logged what we were doing in Security Onion, and we came to Security Onion and looked at the different components to see the detection component of that. So you learn two things here. You learn to be an attacker, you learn to be somebody who can detect. You choose. Or some people like me, we like to be both. So if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, and also give me a thumbs up if you think this is something that is really helpful for the community. And yeah, let me see. Juan, you said Waza is going to be our host-based intrusion detection that we're going to deploy in our new lab that we're in a series creating right now. So Waza is what we're going to be using as our host-based intrusion detection. So if you give me a couple weeks, you'll see that we will deploy a server for Wazoo. Then we'll deploy it to every server that we will have in our environment, which is going to be really nice. So yeah, we have Wazoo as part of that. Security Onion comes with the OSEC. I think that's the same engine. So we have Wazoo in that lab. All right, let me see. BT says, thanks for the lab creation series. Yeah, I really wanted to create a series so that when I start making more videos in that lab, people don't wonder what I'm talking about. I can always refer them to how we set it up. And I'm expecting to be done with the setup part this week. So we have Active Directory installed in Windows because that's what most people use. We have once we are done with Active Directory, I want right away to monitor the pfSense. So I want to log all the pfSense logs, our firewall logs, in graphs that I've created before, so we can log and see what is happening. That is the very first thing that we'll do after we deploy Active Directory. So that lab, if you haven't, check it out. It's going to be a super fun lab, and we have our own monitoring going on, which is nice. BT says, Yes, this is what you end up doing. And if you're going to be a security analyst, you spend a lot of time looking at the same stuff that I'm showing you here. The interface might be different, but you spend a lot of time really getting familiar with this. And if you can work with Security Onion, you will most likely be well set. So during an interview, if you say, yeah, I worked with Security Onion, people would actually know what you're talking about because it's very popular. All right, let's see. Let me know if you have any questions here. Let me just go up. Yeah, normally I hope you left because I spoiled the machine. All right, so if you want to set this up, I'm not sure if somebody asked this or not, but my machine that I'm running this whole lab has 32 gigs of RAM, and it's an iMac. It's pretty beefy. It allows me to even run this lab and live stream, which I was expecting it to maybe to be a little sluggish. So yeah, you're going to need a lot of RAM if you're going to run this locally. If you have 16, you will be able to pull this off. If you have 16 gigs of RAM, give your Security Onion 8. Because they say at least 8 for this thing to really function properly. All right, then the background for this, Security Onion has two interfaces. This is in VMware Fusion. If you're running this in VirtualBox, just make sure to check promiscuous mode on to the Security Onion machine so you can get all the data. pfSense is optional. I'm just a big pfSense fan. In fact, I'll be changing this pfSense to OpenSense. People have been telling me to try it, and I'm now open to let go this one to OpenSense. Then my main lab will run pfSense because I want to know both. OpenSense has a nicer interface. People tell me. Then, of course, my Kali, I haven't updated it in a few months. So that's about it here. All right, guys. So if you joined late, please just watch the stream. I went through it very quickly, and I hope you can find it engaging. The attack process was easy. The detection part was fun, I think. And then hopefully you can learn a little bit, or you can be interested in finding out more about Security Onion and detection. I'm still not decided yet. For our lab setup that we're doing for the main lab, I was going to have 3, maybe 2 networks, and they have Security Onion intercept the traffic. Then we can just send traffic to Security Onion, so it's not too involved to set up. My only drawback is that if I use Security Onion, I'll be stuck with the version of Elastic that they are using here. So I will not be able to play with the nice, cool Elastic SIEM tools that they're coming up with that I always play with. So I might have both Security Onion and the Elastic SIEM because I'm a big fan of the new Elastic SIEM engine. Tectonic says I was actually considering OpenSense over pfSense. Yeah, I've heard really good stuff about OpenSense, and honestly, as long as it's free and it gives you the capability to run all the good stuff like IDS, IPS, proxy, DNS, and all those services that come with pfSense, and they don't want you to pay for anything, I'm all for it. I just don't. Right now, I use Cisco Meraki, and the licensing for my MX device and everything is ridiculous. I'll be paying more than $3,000 if I want to renew it. So I'm moving away from Meraki. I'm firing them. Oh, the iMac. Let's find out. Let me see. The iMac that I have, I can tell you right now, if it gives me the information. So this is This is late 2015 i5, and you know what? I don't care about it. You can see this. Nobody will be able to hack me using this information. Here is the iMac, 32 gigs of RAM, and this is the graphics card I'm using. I mean, this thing is awesome. It's a workhorse, and I bought it off Facebook Marketplace for like $900. It is a terabyte SSD too, which is really nice. But I encourage you to get a Windows machine if you want more control. This thing doesn't give me much control, but it's really great for editing videos. Yeah, and it's the Pro version. I thought I didn't answer that part. All right, guys. So I really appreciate everybody who joined. We do this every Sunday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I like to keep the format the same because this seems to be what people like. Attack. We pick a machine from Vulnhub. We see what we can detect, and hopefully we learn something new. And I'll try to mix it up between detecting on the host side and also on the network. Today we detected network-based attack, and we learned something today. Your Nmap scans are going to be picked by a default installation of Zik or Bro in Security Onion, or Snort using default rules. Oh, you're saying 900 for, yeah. So what I do when I buy these things is I wait. So this person who sold me this I just went there and put an alert. So I'll get alerted for people posting iMacs, and I will look at the prices. And then when I see something that looks like a good deal, I'll go and check it out. In this case, this person wanted $1,000, and then I said, will you accept 9? And they said, yep. Usually the people who were selling something similar wanted at least $1,800 or $1,400. So I got lucky this one. I bought it within like 30 minutes of the person posting it, and they were getting a lot of calls. So once in a while, if you're lucky, you can get really good deals. And usually you get good deals if you're not in a hurry to buy. I think someone asked about CCNA. I have 3 CCNAs, CCNA routing and switching, CCNA security, and CCNA cyber operations. CCNA was really helpful to learn networking, because I think networking and networking skills are really awesome. If you know a little bit about networking, your life is going to be easy, especially when you're talking about network-based detection that we are doing here. It just makes it easy to analyze traffic and understand it. And then CCNA security, I don't know if I would suggest that someone take CCNA security unless if they're working in a Cisco shop. CCNA cyber operation, though, I don't think it's now CCNA, it's just cyber operation certification. That one will take you through Security Onion and tell you how to create rules and how to detect. That I highly suggest. I got a scholarship from Cisco on that one, so I didn't pay for it, but it's a really wonderful set. Awesome. All right, any other questions, guys, before we wrap this up? Let me know if you have any questions for me. You can spend another 5-10 minutes just chatting here. Do you have your let me see this one. Do you have your pfSense only on virtual or? Oh, I run multiple pfSense. This one is virtual. I've pfSense on virtual for this small lab. Then I also have pfSense on hardware for my main lab. I run it everywhere. But you can virtualize pfSense if you don't want to go with the hardware. Just know that if you virtualize your pfSense, then you have to do a lot of the networking component part from within your hypervisor, and if you want to get it out, then you have to get another interface. So this might take a few more interfaces than you might have. So if you have just 2 interfaces, once you create your pfSense inside, if you wanted that traffic to go to a switch that's external, you might need a dedicated interface, unless if you're tagging your traffic with VLANs, which now that might be interesting to also work with. All right, so yeah, thank you everyone for joining me this week. I'm going to upload a couple of videos or even more, depending on how much time we get, but we'll be installing our Active Directory environment, mostly because I believe that as a security analyst, no matter where you're going to be working, most likely you're going to encounter Active Directory traffic, and you might even have a job where you deal with Active Directory in a way. So it's good to see what Active Directory is, setting it up from scratch, because a lot of people end up becoming really good at detecting Active Directory attacks. At least they've set it up at least once. I have set up Active Directory several times. So I hope we can go through that in Windows. And then we can also then start setting up the lab for detection. The lab is going to be heavily on how to monitor systems for intrusions. And that includes monitoring for usage. So we're going to use tools to monitor system CPU and all that stuff, because those can be indicators of compromise. And also it's good to know how your systems are performing. And then we're going to monitor logs, in particular emphasis on our firewall logs. Then we'll also have intrusion detection that is going to intercept our traffic. And this lab is supposed to be live, so you can see actually what happens in a live environment. Then we can talk about ways on locking this lab up. If you plan on playing with malware in it, make sure that it doesn't infect your house. You end up in trouble. So the lab that we're setting up is going to be really fun, and over the next 2 weeks we should see it come to life. And I'm more excited about how we are going to monitor that lab, because having visibility is one of those things that really get me excited. And you don't think to open your own business? Maybe I should. You're right. I really like to start my own business, my own ISP, right? We can do this. One of these days I might come up with an announcement. That's a good one. Yeah, I do actually have a few people who reach out to me for just basic setups that they want to do, and I'm able to help them. So if you want quick help with something that you're setting up, usually I've been just taking in a couple, like someone wanted to set up an IDS, quick setup for 200 endpoints. I was able to help them set it up. I do have the experience. Maybe I should. Thank you for that. All right, so thank you. I don't want to keep you here any longer, but I appreciate everyone who joined us. If you missed the main part where we attacked and defended, just go back and watch it. You can scroll to the parts that you find interesting. Otherwise, come back next week, same time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And also remember to like and subscribe to my videos. Thank you.